When I was 24, I figured out a way in which I could help millions of Americans that would allow me to connect better with my own friends and family members, and that would even occasionally score me a free burrito. And I did all this through nothing more than a simple blog post and a spreadsheet. Perhaps not unlike some of you, I was once so popular that whenever I was somewhere where I didn't know anyone, or where I might have to make dreaded small talk, I would, without fail, always conveniently receive a phone call that would allow me to escape the room momentarily. And in junior high, I would frequently not turn in homework because I was too afraid to call a classmate to ask what an assignment was. I would literally rather take a bad grade than talk to someone on the phone for just 30 seconds. I was helplessly shy, too afraid to look most people in the eye, and these deficiencies were so ingrained with me that I kind of resigned myself to the fact that I was going to have to spend the rest of my life afraid of looking people in the eye and talking to them. I didn't want to be this way, of course, and more than anything, I just wanted to no longer have to answer that dreaded, awful, and downright rude question, why are you so quiet? But I know now that social skills and confidence are things that can be taught, because they're things that I've taught myself, and inadvertently, I've taught countless others. You see, in June 2013, I did a social experiment called 90 Strangers in 30 Days, where every day for the entire month, I forced myself to go out and start conversations with at least 3 people I didn't know. While I did this, I recorded all of the data, such as the person's demographic, where and how I started the conversation, and what we talked about in a spreadsheet. And then for my blog, I wrote a little post about my 5 biggest takeaways from the project, and sort of as an afterthought, I put this all up on Reddit on a board called Our Social Skills that had about 80,000 subscribers at the time. Expecting little if any attention at all, I soon spent the rest of that day in stunned disbelief because my little project had made it on the front page of the entire site, and I received nearly 100 comments from people telling me how inspired they were by my posts and that they could relate, many of them asking advice on how to get over their own social insecurities. Somehow, me of all people had become a shyness coach. Trying to teach myself to become more social felt hopelessly ambiguous at first, like I was trying to change something that was truly unchangeable. But 90 Strangers, this little project, gave me structure to a seemingly impossible task, and it's a structure that, while teaching me to identify situations in which conversations can be started, also helped me forge a daily habit of sociability. Because what if you were told over and over throughout your childhood and even into your adulthood how important having a particular set of skills was to your success and happiness in life, yet given no instructions on how to actually obtain said skills? You probably feel a little frustrated and helpless, maybe even a little resentful toward a world that seemingly keeps presenting you with a door that seemingly everyone except you has the key for. Sadly, this is basically what we do as a society in regards to social skills. Social anxiety affects an estimated 15 million Americans, according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. Of that 15 million, 36% of them report experiencing symptoms for 10 or more years before seeking help, typically beginning at around age 13. Age 13. Now, many kids, sure, have a shy phase growing up, and being awkward is perceived a little bit as a normal part of adolescence. And while many kids do outgrow this, many other kids don't. And instead of being seen as normally weird, quickly they'll grow older and then instead are seen as pariahs, outcasts, and as flawed. Few, if any, would disagree that social skills are one of the very most important things for anyone to learn in life. Yet, with few exceptions, there's something that we don't teach. If you're terrible at math or another subject as a kid, chances are you at least have the opportunity at your school to work with a tutor or a study group to help improve in that area. But if you start to reach high school age and are still timid and reserved, usually the only help you'll receive is a proverbial, "Hope you figure it out." This awful pattern occurs all while teachers, parents, and educators continually preach to their kids and students how important it is to develop strong connections to aid in their future job search, and that it's not what you know, it's who you know. Telling someone to just be confident or just be yourself is empty advice to someone that knows what neither of those things means. It's akin to telling an athlete that wants to increase their vertical to just jump higher. More ridiculous perhaps is not that social skills aren't taught, but is that they can be taught easily and at minimal cost, as I learned from my little project. Now, while talking to random people in the stationery aisle at Target at 9 o'clock at night, as I did for my experiment, might have limited real-world utility, if you can muster up the courage to just say, "Hi, how are you?" or anything else to 90 people in a single month, chances are that next networking event or that next party is not going to be as scary and it's going to be a little more fun. Moreover, this idea is infinitely scalable. For someone that's an even harder case than I was, they could just do something like 30 strangers in 30 days. Or, well, maybe it's not as catchy, something like make good eye contact with 30 people in 30 days and build from there. Over the course of the past few years, as my social skills have improved, my overall quality of life has improved dramatically as well. Pushing myself to learn how to talk to anyone, anywhere, more career opportunities began opening themselves up to me. I became a much more motivated and happier person. And yes, I even once scored a free burrito at Chipotle just by chatting with the guy behind the counter. I truly think these are opportunities that everyone, especially that last thing, has the opportunity to have in life. Now, while all these things made me happy to a degree, I also became very bitter about my past, and I couldn't help but think about what I had missed out on because I wasn't naturally socially gifted. I couldn't help but wish that someone had just sat me down and said, "Andrew, that a conversation is, for the most part, just trading questions and anecdotes back and forth, or that if you're talking to someone you find intimidating, standing in a big power pose with strong, confident body language will make the situation a lot less scary." Now, 90 Strangers is just one way to teach and practice these skills, and there are many other great projects out there with similar missions. But I hope this idea can communicate to parents, teachers, and kids themselves that these are skills that kids can be taught and learn, and that it doesn't need to be a complicated endeavor. It doesn't require any technology beyond pen and paper, and perhaps just a mentor with the self-awareness to explain that much of making conversation can feel arbitrary at first. But yet, while it might feel artificial, it is the pathway through which genuine connections are formed. As we seemingly become social with more people in less social ways today, it's easy to forget the serendipitous enjoyment of genuine connection that can only come through the art of face-to-face conversation. Instead of leaving that art to those that are lucky enough to develop this skill set on their own, I hope we can think about how we can help cultivate them and those that need a little help in developing their own social skills, and as a result, create a more social world. Because when we teach social skills, what we're really teaching is confidence. That's the key to life that everybody deserves the opportunity to have. Thank you.